Zealand offers arguably many of the most breathtaking scenic experiences that you can find. In the North Island Central Plateau, Tongariro National Park is home to 3 active volcanoes, Mount Tongariro, Mount Naruhui, and Mount Ruapehu, and between them is a vast landscape which offers visitors many challenging hikes, as well as breathtaking sceneries. As one of the highlights of my trip to New Zealand, I decided to hike the Tama Lakes Trek with one of my friends. It's been known to be one of the easier hikes in the park, but when we arrived there, we quickly found out that it wasn't, and the weather was absolutely against us. And we're now making breakfast before we head out to Tongariro National Park for a hike, a big day. Yes.
Are you filming that or?
Yeah. No, only like this side.
Hello.
We are going hiking right now. We've got like a 45-minute drive from Motuapa Bay Family Holiday Park here, right at the edge of Topor, all the way to Tongariro National Park. Specifically, we have to travel to Whakapapa village. Yes, you heard it right. It's a Maori name for a village situated in Tongariro National Park. Although it sounds a little bit crude in English, but hey, it is what it is. Which is at the base of Mount Ruapehu. We're at the car now. I'm gonna put my stuff first. Right, so we've now started our engine. Everything's cleaned up, because we're kind of prepared for this hike. We've had breakfast just now. Terrence went off to the toilet just one last time before we set off for the mountains. I'm feeling pretty stoked, definitely. After what happened yesterday, unfortunately, we can't go for whitewater rafting because our vehicle broke down. And yeah, I feel like I should have kind of filmed that part, but I did not. So we were kind of all in a bad mood for the fact that our adventure here has been disrupted because of some stupid issue with our rental car. But that is like a whole topic on its own to talk about. Right now, off to Whakapapa village. Yo.
Let's go.
Ready?
Ready? Let's go.
Let's go. Any comments for what?
Driving.
Yeah, it's pretty fun to drive in NZ. Very peaceful. But the big trucks are
Scary lah.
a bit scary.
Yeah, you usually slow down and lean more to the left. There's some leeway on the left.
Yeah, but so far, but it's a nice drive, enjoyable drive, because like the scenery is really, really nice. Yeah, and I guess that kind of like, I don't know, it just makes the driving much more peaceful, much more, feels therapeutic in a sense. As we approached the national park, the road started to get more foggy and dangerous, so we had to drive more carefully and turn on our high beam. Visibility is not very good, so I gotta put a high beam. Probably the first time that I actually have to use like high beam in my whole driving experience. Look at that in front.
Yeah, it's foggy and you can't see maybe beyond 100 meters.
As we approached our destination, we were greeted by what was once the Chateau Tongariro, an iconic hotel that once served holidaymakers and adventurers. Unfortunately, the building no longer met safety standards, and it was too costly the earthquake strengthened it. Hence, in February 2023, it was officially closed down. However, we were fortunate enough to still be able to see it with our own eyes before who knows whatever happens to it next. So we've just arrived at Scotel Alpine Resort in Whakapapa village. Unfortunately, the weather is not looking very good. I can show you right here. It's pretty rainy. Not sure if it's obvious in the camera. we are already here, so hopefully we can check with the reception. Terrence is checking with the reception first whether we can where we can park in the meantime, because our check-in is only right after our hike finishes, probably about 3 or 4 p.m. So after we check in, after we inform them that we're going on a hike, we're gonna kit up, we're gonna head off straight for our 17.6 kilometer hike. Phone here, camera here. Our hiking location is in the central plateau of New Zealand's North Island. The Tama Lakes trek will take us through the Tongariro National Park, with 3 different locations for us to stop by. The scenic route is supposed to offer a beautiful view of the landscapes and mountains surrounding it. Even though we weren't climbing up a mountain, the hike did present some of its own dangers and definitely required extra caution. It's pretty common to come across rocky streams where the only way to get to the other side was to cross it. While this sounds simple enough, the rocks were challenging to traverse due to how wet and slippery they were. We did have to be very cautious with our steps, or we would have fallen into the stream. One wrong move could end up in disaster. After an arduous 3 hours, we finally reached the lower Tama Lake, and only to our disappointment, the weather hadn't cleared up and the fog was blocking the magnificent view of the lake. We couldn't help but wonder if there was any chance it could clear within the next hour, but then we would be racing against the clock to return before the sun sets. And on top of that, the winds were really strong and chilly, so we had to make the difficult decision to turn around and make our way to the Taranaki Falls. Close to 2 hours on our return journey, we finally came across the Taranaki Falls. The waterfall was formed by lava flow from the eruption of Mount Ruapehu around 15,000 years ago, and the water plunges into a pool which connects to a stream at the bottom. Despite the gloomy skies and our soaked boots, the sight of the waterfall was enough to lift our spirits, so we took an opportunity for a photo before heading off. Wow. Been such a journey. We're about less than an hour back to this Hotel Alpine Resort. Been really tiring. Probably the most difficult hike of my life. Very wet and cold, and we're kind of drenched actually. Honestly, if you want to go hiking in a place like the Tongariro National Park, I highly recommend bringing a hiking stick, because it really helps relieve the stress from your knees. Yeah, I swear by it, honestly. At times when you're ascending an incline, it can be quite tough on your knees. You feel like you don't have any more energy to pull yourself up with only your legs, and it's helpful to have a hiking stick. It's kind of like having a third leg sometimes. Right. Yeah, Faris, thank you so much. I didn't think it will be that impactful to our hike.
But it is
It is super impactful to our hike.
it's amazing.
Yeah, man. So we're left with that journey over there. I don't know how long that will take us to reach.
That's about 30 minutes.
30 minutes. Beautiful. Which means we have all time in the world to just chill around and... Well, Terrence wants hot chocolate really bad and hot showers. So we got... Unfortunately, because of Terrence's taste for hot chocolate and showers, we have to rush back to this hotel.
I am tired.
Tired,
I'm
cold.
uncomfortable.
I'm not quite tired, but I'm a bit gutted that we can't go. We couldn't really see the lake properly.
Yeah.
And we couldn't go up to Upper Tama Lake.
The worst was the mountain view, and I wanted to see Mount Doom. I really wanted to see Mount Doom.
I think that's the most like hilarious part of this hike. We didn't even see like Ruapehu or Mount Narahoi. Is that how they pronounce it? Which is Mount Doom. In Lord of the Rings. We didn't see them at all because it was super foggy and super rainy. Unfortunately. But I like the whole experience. I think it's super challenging.
It is very
Probably the toughest, one of the toughest things I've done in my life. I think like hikes, we're not used to the idea of hikes being like this, you know, in Singapore.
Yeah.
Like hikes in Singapore is like Bukit Timah hike.
Yo, this one make MacRitchie hike looks like a child play.
Yeah, man.
That one is, if you go there hike, right, there's no kick. You have to come here and
Yeah, you gotta come here. I
feel
think
the elements.
I definitely appreciate hiking now.
Winter, right? I'm not really like my legs aren't hurting, not like the 4 clicks.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're trained for this. I'm not saying that we're trained for like alpine kind of hiking, but we've walked far enough to know that at some point the pain is just a mental thing.
Yeah.
You know? So I guess like experiencing NS like 24 click march, you kind of know what you're going in for. You just take it up the... I hope I'm gonna edit that out. But yeah, you accept it for what it is. Accept the challenge for what it is. Oh shit. As the rain was, raining down, and there was a lot of water droplets on my touch screen. It kept confusing the touch screen system and kept pressing different buttons on my touch screen. And yes, we did not go to the Upper Tama Lake, unfortunately, because it was way too windy, way too foggy, and honestly, the trek from Lower Tama Lake to Upper Tama Lake is quite sketchy. It's just a small, really small kind of like off-road trail. So on this last stretch, I think this whole hike to the Taranaki Falls as well as the Lower Tama Lake, very wet, cold, uncomfortable hike. But honestly, I was in high spirits all the time. Yeah, I think we got, while I didn't get to shoot what I want, I think what's important is kind of what you take away from a hike like this. You learn a lot about perseverance. Honestly, there were some moments during the hike where I felt, maybe we won't really make to that Lower Tama Lake, because it's much more challenging to actually do it than to actually watch it from your nice seat at home, from your computer screen, watching other people do it and talk about how amazing the hike is. And I think today, Terrence and I, we put in the work. I think we deserve a good hot shower later on. I know Terrence wants to. Our return journey on the upper trek had us hiking through a forested area with some incline while offering a view of a rapid flowing river right beside us. Despite it being our return trek, it wasn't any easier as what laid ahead of us were multiple hilly terrain, slippery rocks and mud. But as we pressed on further, the trees began to make way for bush. And pretty soon, we were able to spot a familiar sight in the distance. The Chateau Tongariro. That only meant that we were closer than ever to our endpoint. Is that hotel? No. That is hotel. Haha. Right distance. Oh, feels so good, man. Civilization, finally. Oh, yeah. Taranaki Falls Trek, Tama Lakes Trek and Tongariro Northern Circuit. So we were here at Whakapapa Village. Where do you go to? It looks really small here, but when you actually traverse it,
6 hours.
what an adventure. Well, I guess it's the end of the hike. We are main road, walking back to our vehicle, our camper van, and then we'll check into our room, start to dry everything. Our hiking experience in the Tongariro National Park was definitely one of the best hikes I've ever done. Even though it was wet, rainy and cold, the feeling of being in the Kiwi wilderness was a surreal feeling. But more than just being a physically demanding experience, it helped me to reignite the fire in me, the burning desire that I once had in chasing big dreams and goals. Knowing that I myself was the one who had set the goal to hike the trek, and then finishing it with a smile on my face, gave me a lot of confidence to take on big challenges that lie ahead. Oh, and although we didn't get to see the mountains during our hike, the next morning during breakfast, we got a pleasant surprise as the sun was rising.